we got an email from the Canadian Space Agency, which, again, in full transparency, I didn't even know there was a Canadian Space Agency. Because you hear about NASA growing up, you hear, the American, that's the dream. That's what you learn about when you're in school in space. And we didn't know if it was real. We didn't know who they were. It could have been a spam. I could have been, sending money to like a Nigerian prince. Like I didn't know what it was. And so we kind of just ignored it. Like it seemed like it was like we get a lot of emails from like consultants, like we can get you to this, but this is our fee. And so we ignored it because it didn't seem real. And then we got a second email. Obviously, they were persistent, which was nice. And then we're like, okay, maybe like you don't usually get a second email. And so we looked at the signature and it was a real person with a real, Canadian Space Agency logo and direct phone number and fax number and all these things. And so obviously we Googled it, and this person, worked for curating food essentially for the Canadian Space Agency. And so we responded back saying, we're very interested in potentially doing this. What products are you interested in? And they're like, we'll let you know. And so we just started getting like random orders on our website, like direct to them. And it started off by going to like Quebec, which was like where the Canadian Space Agency headquarters are. And then we started getting orders to like Texas, like Houston, and then Cape Canaveral, and where NASA is. And so we had a couple meetings with them as throughout this process, learning more about what they're doing, how they select, what's going on, how much we can promote it, because it's a government agency and they can't look like they're favoriting a certain brand or product, because we figured that out by saying, hey, you don't need to order online, we'll just send you a ton, like whenever you need it, like we're happy. And they're like, no, we have to buy it through the proper channels. And after all these different tests that happened, whether it was like nutrition or how it handles microgravity, or does it crumb, does it hydrate well, the last kind of few tests were sending it to the astronauts to see if they actually liked it, because at the end of the day, much like our kids, it can be healthy and it can be quick and convenient, but if it's not tasty, then nobody's going to eat it. And they liked it. They chose the strawberry lavender flavor to go up. And we had the opportunity finally, when the mission came, to be invited guests by the Canadian Space Agency and NASA to fly down to Cape Canaveral and watch this product kind of take off into space. And it was like, I can confidently say there's nothing I've ever done that's similar to this experience or that experience. It was just like, it felt weird, surreal, different. And going back to your last point about, how do we keep the momentum going? Well, that gave us a huge, boost, because when we got back, a lot of the world was really focused on this mission. Artemis II was a huge deal. And again, like, I love space. I've always been interested in it. I didn't know how big this thing was until leading up to it. And when we got back, because we got phone calls from like Global and CB24 and CBC and Ben Mulrooney's podcast. And we got to go on all these things, and lots of them are live. And as I'm sitting there with my phone in my pocket, it's just going ding, 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 and orders are coming in to our website. And so we got more orders in that amount of time than we've ever gotten on our store since inception. Not that it's a gajillion dollars, but just the exposure and the reach of people resonating with the brand and the product, and they got it, was like validating enough. Like, we probably lost money on all the orders because, like, shipping and all these things, we just want it out there. We want it in people's mouths. We want people to know about it. And so we were just happy that people saw us talking about it, and were like, this is something that me, my family, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my grandmother, my kid, whatever it is, they would like. And so that was super, super validating, and made it feel like all the work was worth it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Was it initially, did they contact you because maybe you were one of the few Canadian oatmeal companies out there? Was that they wanted to support local? What was their...
Yeah, I mean, they had a mandate to, as they always do, to support the Canadian Space Agency, to support Canadian brands. It doesn't have to be local. It doesn't have to be a small brand. It's just a Canadian. They try to get Canadian products on Canadian missions. And I have no idea how many brands might have been in the running. Like, they don't tell you that. I know that we were the only brand that went up, right? So they had a lot of other nutritional items and menu items that were products, but not like a brand first brand. Like, obviously, like, from the American side of it, like, we saw Nutella was up there, right? There's certain brands that were up there, but from a Canadian perspective, there was no like brands going up. And they took the cereal and they ate it in a very, like, bare bones kind of way. But if you like it that way, then enjoy it.
Yeah.
And now we're going like we're our stuff is on the International Space Station feeding another Canadian astronaut who's going to be taking off soon. Like we're not going to watch that launch, but like the it's a second part of this mission, so it's pretty exciting.
Amazing. And how was that? I'm just curious, like, how was that feeling, like, just being there and like seeing, when Artemis went up in the air? Like,
It was, yeah, it was. I can't even explain it because like I want to say that it was loud, but it wasn't loud to your ears. It wasn't like being at a concert and this is too loud. It was more like in your bone, like your spine shook. Like you could, so basically it took off, and like 15 seconds after launch, you just feel a and like it shakes you inside. And there's nothing no roller coasters, like there's nothing I've ever done that has duplicated that feeling. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty crazy. And like the anticipation was nuts because, there's a lot of space. I'm going to call them space nerds, like space people down there who are watching this, who have been planning for this forever. Like we're on this big grassy field with, it's like a VIP area, so to speak, but there's still thousands of people. And it was silent. Like it was kind of scary. Like it felt like a zombie apocalypse movie. Like everyone's just standing like at the edge of the grass where the water goes, and like obviously across the water is the rocket ship, and everyone's just silent and like looking like their heads are moving like up together as it takes off, and like no one's cheering, no one's like woo, we did it, like yeah. It was just like silence. So it was like cool but also eerie.
yeah, and I'm sure you've probably got this question a lot, but was there any feedback other than they've come back and all that, or?
Not, I mean, we don't know yet. We haven't, we plan on, we've reached out obviously to try to get some feedback, but obviously they're very busy post everything. They have a million things to debrief, and we're just a small piece of this whole puzzle. But my response to when people are like, well, did he like it out there? I can only assume so because he tried it before he left. He must have liked it. And their space, their amount of room they have in there, as I'm sure you saw, is minimal. It's finite. So if you don't like something, especially food, it can't be there, because if the astronauts decide that they're not in the mood for something, or they're not hungry, or they have no appetite, it's very detrimental to their health, right? They have to be healthy, they have to be well fed. And so I'll say yes, he loved it. He must have loved it. Otherwise it's not going up there.
100%, 100%. I mean, yeah, exactly. That's proof enough that he loved it. So that's for sure.
Exactly.
I'm guessing like now with that kind of traction, as you mentioned, you're getting a bunch of orders on your website.